The rain hadn't stopped for hours. Through the tall glass windows of Grayson Tower, the city lights shimmered like ghosts on wet asphalt. Inside the boardroom, silence lingered, thick, suffocating, and cold. Ethan Cole, the CEO of one of the biggest tech firms in the country, sat alone at the head of the table, staring at a single object on the polished surface, a small silver locket with a faded photo inside. It wasn't supposed to exist anymore. He'd buried it with his wife 3 years ago. And yet, just an hour ago, a trembling little voice had said from the doorway. "Greater than, you dropped this, sir." When Ethan looked up, he saw a little girl, no older than 8, holding the very same locket that once belonged to his late wife. That was the moment everything stopped. And that's where this story begins. Cloud with Rain Chapter 1. The Man Who Forgot How to Feel. Ethan Cole wasn't always the man people feared in the corporate world. Once, he had been full of laughter, love, and the kind of warmth that made people believe in good things. But when his wife, Claire, died in a car accident 3 years ago, that part of him died too. He threw himself into work, late nights, empty offices, and endless deadlines. Success became his armor. Awards, wealth, and prestige, none of it filled the silence that echoed in his penthouse every night. His employees whispered about him. Greater than, he's brilliant, but cold. He doesn't even look at people anymore. He doesn't feel. And they were right. Ethan Cole had become a machine wearing a man's face. One rainy evening, after another brutal board meeting, he walked through the nearly empty lobby of his company. The janitor was mopping the marble floor, quietly humming to himself. Beside him was a little girl, sitting cross-legged on the floor, coloring on a piece of cardboard. Ethan barely noticed them, until he heard the tiny voice. "Greater than, sir, you dropped this." He turned, annoyed at first. The girl held out something shiny in her small hand. When his eyes met it, his heart slammed against his chest. It was Claire's locket, the one he had placed in her hands before they closed the coffin. The one he had promised he'd never see again. "Greater than, where did you get that?" he demanded, his voice trembling. The janitor looked startled. "Greater than, I'm sorry, sir. My daughter found it near the stairwell. Must have fallen." "Greater than, that's impossible." Ethan snapped. This belongs to my wife." The little girl blinked. "Greater than, it was shiny. I thought it was magic." Ethan's breath hitched. He took the locket carefully, his hands shaking, and opened it. Inside, the photo of Claire smiled back at him, the same soft smile she wore the day he proposed. But something else was different. There was a folded piece of paper inside. He unfolded it. The handwriting was unmistakably hers. "Greater than, if you ever find this again, Ethan, it means you're ready to feel again." Ethan's knees nearly gave way. He backed up, gripping the edge of a nearby chair. His heart pounded so loudly he could barely hear the janitor asking if he was all right. That night, he couldn't sleep. He kept seeing that little girl's face, and his wife's smile, and the words, "ready to feel again." Sun behind small cloud. Chapter 2. The little girl who brought back the light. The next morning, Ethan returned to the lobby. The janitor, Mr. Parker, was there again, and his daughter was drawing on a large cardboard sheet with crayons. Ethan crouched down beside her. "Greater than, hey there," he said softly. "What's your name?" She looked up, surprised. "Greater than, Lila," she said shyly. "My dad works here. I come after school 'cause we can't afford a babysitter." Her honesty hit him like a wave. She reminded him of Claire, always simple, truthful, and kind. "Greater than, you're a good artist," Ethan said, pointing to her picture. It was a drawing of a woman holding a man's hand under a rainbow. "That's my mom and dad," she said proudly. "They're together in heaven, but I think they visit me sometimes. Like, in dreams." Ethan's throat tightened. He had spent 3 years running from dreams like that. Over the next few days, Ethan found himself stopping by the lobby more often. He'd bring snacks for Lila, sometimes a new box of crayons. Slowly, he learned that Mr. Parker worked double shifts to support his daughter since her mother died. Something about them, about their quiet resilience, began melting the walls around Ethan's heart. One evening, as he helped Lila pack her crayons, she looked up and asked, "Greater than, do you miss your wife, sir?" He nodded silently. "Greater than, every day." Lila smiled gently. Greater than, then you should do what I do. I draw her. When I draw my mom, I feel like she's with me again. Ethan looked at the little girl's pure sincerity and felt tears burn in his eyes for the first time in years. He whispered, greater than, maybe I'll try that. That night, Ethan went home, opened his late wife's art journal, the one she had used to sketch their dreams, and began to draw. His hands trembled, his vision blurred with tears, but for the first time, he didn't stop them. He drew her smile, her laughter, and himself, next to her. The next morning, he returned to the office carrying a small envelope. He found Mr. Parker and Lila and handed it to them. Inside was a letter and a check, enough to cover Lila's school fees for years. Greater than, this isn't charity, Ethan said, smiling through his tears. It's gratitude. You two reminded me how to be human again. Lila tilted her head. Greater than, so, are you feeling again? Ethan laughed softly. Greater than, yes, Lila. I think I am. She grinned, pulled something from her backpack, and handed it to him. It was a new drawing. A man, a woman, and a little girl, holding hands under a bright rainbow. At the bottom, in her uneven handwriting, were the words. Greater than, the heart never stays broken forever. Ethan looked at the drawing and felt warmth spread through his chest, a warmth he thought he'd lost forever. He placed it beside the locket on his desk and whispered, greater than, thank you, Claire, and thank you, Lila.